Welcome to this week's Battle of the Ports as we go all crusty with the granddaddy of platformers. This is David Crane's Pitfall. First released for the Atari 2600 in September 1982, you control Pitfall Harry, who has a time limit of 20 minutes to seek treasure in a jungle. The game world is populated by enemies and hazards that cause the player to lose lives or points. The goal is to get Pitfall Harry as many points as possible within a 20-minute time limit. The player starts the game with 2,000 points and can collect a total of 32 treasures hidden amongst the 255 screens, ranging from a money bag worth 2,000 points to a diamond ring worth 5,000 points. Pitfall Harry moves left and right and can jump over and onto objects, swing from vines and climb up and down ladders to seek treasure and avoid damage. It's also possible to lose points from hazards, such as falling down a hole or colliding with rolling logs. At the time, Pitfall received mostly positive reviews, and it goes without saying it was influential in the platforming game genre. Now, you may not believe this, but I have never played Pitfall before. This is my very first time, and I have to say that in 2024, the game still has tight controls, great collision detection, and is genuinely fun to play. The first port of Pitfall went to the Intellivision in November 1982, and it's a very close port to the Atari 2600. The graphics are slightly different, as is the colour, but overall this is pretty much the same game. It plays just as well and sounds just as good. The only thing I found odd is that you use a separate button to jump off the vines. February 1983 saw the Colecovision version get a release, and it's easily the most flash version so far. But do you know what? It isn't the best playing. I don't know what it is, but the Colecovision version doesn't seem as snappy as the Atari 2600 or Intellivision. Harry also seems to have a shorter jump, making things a little more tricky. Don't get me wrong, this is still a good game, but not as good as the first two versions we looked at. March 1983 saw a few more ports to the Atari 5200 and Atari 8-bit line of home computers. This is the 5200 version. The Atari 8-bit home computer version is very much the same game. As always is the case, the 5200 version isn't as playable as the 2600 original. The collision detection, while good, isn't as precise as the 2600 version, I feel. A little later, Commodore also got in on the Pitfall craze, with this very good C64 release in June 1983. There's not too much to say about the Commodore 64 port, apart from it's yet another nice version of Pitfall. The last of the original ports came out way later in September 1984 in Japan only for the MSX. But wait, isn't this just the Colecovision version? Yep, that's right. The MSX port is a pretty much identical version of the Colecovision, even down to the way it plays. Did you know that a port of the original Atari 2600 Pitfall was included as a hidden game in Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure on the Super Nintendo? The hidden game is only accessible using a cheat code or finding a secret portal in the game. However, there is a ROM hack out there that gives you instant access as well. This is pretty much the same as the 2600 besides having worse audio. Seriously, the audio samples are really low in quality. Still, it does play well. There was an unofficial release of Pitfall for the ZX Spectrum by Beakersoft in 2003. Yeah, it's pretty bollocks to say the least. In 1993, there was an unofficial port released for the Commodore VIC-20. Just like the ZX Spectrum version, this is pants, but it is better than what Specky owners got. The controls in this one are super stiff, but compared to the ZX Spectrum port, they're fantastic. What's odd about this version is you automatically walk up and down the ladders. And let's take a look at all those versions of Pitfall running side by side.